Yo, is it true that a pelican's bill can hold more than its stomach will?
You know nothing about that!
But stick around and find out. What's going on, you guys? It's Brandon Camilo, and welcome back to another installment of my ART-CYCLOPEDIA, your delivery system of mediocre visuals and knowledge that you may or may not already know. And before we get into it, I want to tell you the usual accompaniment of things. Smash the like button, subscribe, all that, whatever. And be sure to follow me on Instagram to view completed pieces in their entirety. Also, if anyone's interested, be sure to follow me on TikTok because I'll post content that I don't normally post anywhere else. Now, let's get into it. Pelicans. These large water birds are so distinguishable and so ubiquitous that Nintendo decided to create a Pokemon based on their species, and they didn't even really change much of its appearance. I mean, take a look at this thing. Top marks for you, Nintendo, for creating Pelipper. These beautifully goofy-looking birds belong to the genus Pelicanus in the family Pelicanidae. It's a very creative name. And they're characterized by their long beaks and large throat pouch used for catching prey. They're most closely related to hammerkops and shoebills and are found in every continent. Except Antarctica. But there are a lot more interesting things about these birds to discover, so without further ado, let's get this knowledge train going, and here are 5 facts about pelicans. Number 1. Pelicans are dino birds. Well, not really technically, because the last dinosaurs died off about 65 million years ago, but there have been recorded pelican remains that date back to 30 million years ago. In my eyes, that's pretty much a dinosaur. I mean, that's like on par with dragonflies and alligators. How do you go that long without needing to make any evolutionary changes in the drawing board?
Perfect!
The oldest remains date back to the early Oligocene epoch and were discovered in the south of France. Of course, with tectonic movements, the Earth wasn't exactly the same 30 million years ago, but here's an estimate of what the Earth looked like during the Oligocene. And pelicans most likely roamed this region of the Earth right here, where it is believed that they ate prey very similar to what they have today, bony fish and whatnot. Hey man, I guess it goes to show, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and these pelicans are good at what they do. Clearly, they have the evidence to back that up. Number 2. Pelicans are high flyers. With wingspans ranging anywhere from 6 to 11 feet, depending on the species, it's no surprise that pelicans are some chunky birds. But what's even more interesting about that is that pelicans can fly at altitudes of upwards of 10,000 feet in the air. That's around the same height that skydivers jump from. Dude, that's high enough to see the curvature of the Earth. Most birds in the world stay in the 500-foot altitude and go up to about, like 2,000 feet for migrations. But no, not pelicans. These babies need some adrenaline when they fly.
There it goes! What the fuck?!
By the time that pelicans are flying that high in the air, they're mostly gliding in a V formation for long distances in search of food or mating grounds with their advanced eyesight and locked wings. But getting up to that height takes some considerable work, and pelicans, they're not really the best at taking off. Take a look at this pelican. It's actually one of my favorite ways to see birds take flights. Sandhill cranes in Florida have the same method on land. But anyways, I think it's just kind of cool to be seeing this awkward giant duck thing fly at the altitude of some planes. Number 3. Pelican bills. This wouldn't be a complete ART-CYCLOPEDIA entry if I didn't mention anything about a pelican's bill, so here it goes. Pelican bills are a pelican's most interesting feature.
Well, duh.
Not only do they use them to hunt, but also to attract mates, which is something I'll get into shortly. But these bills have a sharp hook at the end to help capture extra slippery prey. Pelicans hold the Guinness World Record for the longest beaks in the world, topping out at approximately 1.5 feet for the Australian and Dalmatian species. Yes, there is a species of pelican called Dalmatian pelicans, and they look pretty emo, not gonna lie. Now, a pelican's pouch, or gular, is made up of stretchy yet fibrous skin, which allows for expansion, but is very resilient against punctures. In other words, the perfect grave for an unlucky fish. Pelicans don't actually store fish in their pouch, though, for later or anything like that. They actually use their pouch to gobble up a ton of water along with the fish they are attempting to capture. They then tilt their head back and let the water drain out of the sides of their mouth while the fish is subsequently swallowed. The American white pelican actually can store up to 3 gallons of water in its pouch. The pouch also helps pump the brakes for species of pelicans that dive while they hunt by acting as an air pocket for buoyancy. And they also have internal air sacs that inflate before impact to protect major organs on those gnarly dives. With that being said, it's pretty obvious that pelicans inadvertently ingest a ton of salt water when attempting to eat up to 4 pounds of fish per day. So pelicans have devised a clever little adaptation to deal with this excess salt water. They have no nose.
Even have a nose.
Of course I have a nose, Squidward. Why, it's as plain as the nose on my face.
Well, they do technically have a nose. Their nostrils are just covered and enclosed in their beaks, meaning that they don't use them for the same reasons that you or I do. But instead, their nasal cavities are filled with desalination glands that aid their bodies in ridding the excess salt in their system. In other words, these goofy birds aren't just specialized saltwater drinking hunting machines with beaks that can temporarily hold more water than their stomachs will, but they're also mouth breathers. Number 4, pelican families. Pelicans are very social creatures. They live in pretty large colonies, mostly on small, uninhabited islands or sandbars. When male pelicans reach full maturity, their large pouches change colors and they put on dazzling displays of shakes and calls with their beaks to attract all the señoritas around. American white pelicans take this to the next level by growing freaking horns. Male American white pelicans grow a horn each year on top of their beak, and the reasoning is pretty much the age-old tale of masculinity in the animal kingdom.
Size does matter.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The one with the largest horn is seen as the most attractive to the females in the colony.
That's hot.
Australian pelicans have a bizarre ritual when it comes to family, however. Once every few years or so, depending on the amount of rainfall and flooding that occurs, a portion of the Australian pelican population will take off from their coastal homes in harbors, piers, and islands and travel inland to the lowest point in all of Australia, Lake Eyre. Spelled air, but pronounced air. You get the point. This thing is 50 feet below sea level. The lake isn't filled with water most of the time and is really a barren salt flat, but when enough flooding occurs, water levels can rapidly rise, and pelicans take advantage of the lack of competition for the brine shrimp population there, a population that lies dormant until the next water supply. It's estimated by scientists that Lake Eyre hasn't been full in about 3,000 years. But when Lake Eyre does reach max capacity, the lake can actually cover an area larger than the state of Texas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico combined. It makes this special pelican breeding location also possibly at one point in time the largest lake in Australia. Regardless of how or where pelicans make babies, pelicans typically lay about 2 eggs per brood, and they're laid a few days apart. Baby pelicans demand to be fed around 30 times a day, and they eat basically straight out of the back of mom and dad's throats. Gross. It's common for one sibling to grow at a faster rate than the other, and larger siblings typically bully the younger ones for more food. If situations get dire enough, the younger sibling is killed off by the larger one in some sort of pelican nest gladiator sacrifice. Also, they're sometimes, in Australia at least, seen to be eaten by older males. Quite cruel, actually. But such is life, I suppose. Pelicans, unlike other birds, do not mate for life, but rather link up for cuffing season. They whip out as many broods as they can for the season, and then once the kids are all grown up and out of the nest, they go their separate ways, and eventually they find new mates for the following season. Number 5. Back from the brink. This final fact is dedicated to bring a little bit more awareness to the conservation efforts that went into maintaining the population of brown pelicans in the Gulf of Mexico, particularly in Louisiana, whose state bird is, well, you guessed it, a pelican. It's a pelican. They also have a basketball team, but anyways, in 1963, the Louisiana population of pelicans was on the brink of extinction because of the use of DDT pesticides. Now, these pesticides made the eggs really weak, and premature deaths nearly wiped out the whole population. In 1968, wildlife officials decided to bring in brown pelicans over from Florida to Louisiana in repopulation efforts, and by 1971, the pelican population was growing rapidly. With government regulations against DDT and habitat conservation efforts, the brown pelican was taken off the endangered list in 2009. And it just goes to show that pelicans are resilient birds that basically just need a suitable habitat and not to be messed with to thrive. So we as humans need to be careful about what we put in our waterways and how we treat our beaches. Otherwise, these birds won't have been around, and that's no fun because pelicans are awesome, albeit weird looking, but awesome nonetheless. So those were 5 interesting facts about pelicans. I had a ton of fun making this video for you guys, and honestly, I have a newfound appreciation for these amazing creatures. It's truly no wonder why pelicans have been around for so long. I mean, they basically have a gnarly system of adaptations perfectly suited for their environment. So if you guys have any animal you want me to cover in the future, be sure to leave a comment down below, and also make sure to follow me on Instagram to view this completed pelican painting. Also, if you haven't done so already, you made it this far in the video, why not subscribe to the channel? I mean, I'll be covering so many more creatures and fun topics. There's only a whole world of information to uncover, so come on, don't be shy, subscribe. Anyways, my time here is up. My name is Brandon Camilo, your favorite internet artist, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.